Battery charged on the bad boy?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so let's plan it out a little, maybe avoid, make the editing easier. How's the light? Does it look alright? So Alex has got me the truck bed coating that we're going to use. This is a textured finish. It's impact and scratch resistant. It's really hard stuff. It looks like originally they had used like a rust proof coating. But you can see where the tire laid on that, it almost like bonded with the tire. It's just not tough enough to not have that rubber of the tire stick to it. This, I believe, will not happen. So this is like hard as a rock, and it'll protect that. It'll look nice, and it'll also not have that spare tire stick to it when it's sitting there for long periods of time. So that's what we're going to spray in here once we get this all cleaned out, and then we'll finish it up with just some trunk paint, repaint the trunk once we're done, and then we should have that trunk finished up, looking nice, and then we can start, put the tire back in. And with a project like this in a home garage, you got to plan it out a little bit to where you don't take everything all apart, because then you got so much stuff laying around that you're tripping and falling over things. That's why we're working on the back end first. Once we get this trunk done, we plan to put the spare tire back in there, and then that's out of the way, you know what I mean. So anyway, so the next step, we already put that first coat down. I'm just going to sand this. Just take the high spots off of it. I'll then vacuum that up, clean that up, and then I'll mix up another coat and put that on. So, Alex, I don't know how much of this sanding you want to videotape, but basically it's just back and forth till you get it as smooth as you can. And then maybe you'll tape some of this, I don't know, Alex, but fast forward it if you do. It's pretty boring.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
But take the vacuum. So done a little sanding on that. One thing that you'll notice in any trunk, really, especially these older cars, is it's never perfect as far as the contour, because there's so much, especially these big trunks. They got big wide spans, so they're just a little uneven as far as the metal, and that's okay. That's normal. But what you don't want, what you want to do here is not have these places where it's okay to kind of flow a little uneven as long as it's smooth. And so you're never really going to get it completely smooth with the first coat unless you hogged a whole ton of it on there, and then you'd be sanding forever. So the first coat, what I call the skim coat, is I just kind of get it roughly filled in there, and then I roughly sand it out, and then I can see where I've still got areas where it's a little bit low, like here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And so then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put on a second coat, and that'll get it a lot closer to being completely filled in. So that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little bit and apply it, and then get that a lot smoother. Okay, that's the deal. Okay, so they say not to use cardboard when you're mixing this on it. Ideally, you'd have a plastic flat surface, I guess. What I use is actually the cardboard from pop can cases because I find it's very smooth. The product doesn't penetrate it to where you have to worry about it mixing with the cardboard because this coating that's on it protects that cardboard, and it's real smooth and makes for a cheap, disposable, easy mixing spot for this product. So that's what I use. You know, if you want to get, I'm sure they've got mixing boards. That's probably best. But what else did I want to say? Oh, okay. So I'm a convert to the gloves now. Okay. I mean, I've never used the gloves for my hands when working on cars, but I guess as I'm going to start to be working on them more, some of these products, you know, contain chemicals that they say are hazardous. So it just makes sense for me to get in the habit of using disposable gloves. They're real cheap, and they'll keep oil. And am I always going to remember to put them on? Probably not, but it's probably good to minimize the exposure. I remember when I first started working on cars, heck, they didn't even know the asbestos in the brakes was bad, and they were just discovering that. And here I was working at a car repair shop. I'm taking brake, you know, drums off, blowing the brakes off before I work on them. And then one day I come in and they say, hey, we shouldn't be blowing those the dust off those brakes because it's got asbestos. We need to use this machine and wash it off. Thinking, well, that's a heck of a thing. I've kind of been blowing these brake drums off for about 5 years now, sucking in all that asbestos. But I'm hoping it's, you know, more chronic exposure that's a problem, not short term, because I haven't done that for a long time. So hopefully there's no asbestos embedded in my lungs yet that's going to rear up on me. But anyway, it is good to, you know, get in the habit of protecting yourself from these chemicals that are involved in the auto repair. And so who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and work. I'm going to mix up a little bit, and I'm going to put another coat on and get this filled out a little bit better. Put on the second coat of the filler. And get this all smoothed out. It's kind of, I don't know, I don't mind this. Some people don't like doing this stuff, but I mean, I don't mind doing it. I think it's kind of fun. And you know, after I get another coat on and I sand it out, if there's still irregular spots, well, then I put another coat on. And it gets fewer and fewer spots that you have to fill. And then eventually you wind up kind of priming it with this primer filler, and that'll show you some spots that still look not smooth. And they actually make even a putty that's real fine that then you can put on that, which I'll probably do, show you that. It's all part of getting it prepared for paint, and you just want to make it look real nice. The time you spend in preparation is how good it looks at the end. So for me, I just take the time, I keep doing it. The primer has a filler in it, so every time you put a layer on and sand it off, it just keeps filling better and better. And you just gotta take your time, be patient, and keep doing that until you get it as smooth a result as you want. But you just take out about as much as what you think you're going to want to use, and I always be careful, kind of do the, you know, spaghetti thing, kind of twirl it to stop it from turning.